What's up, everybody? Thanks for getting our manual here. I'm here with Lilia, who is our manager over at the Lambertville Estate. And Lilia has a ton of experience working with the senior population. So, Lilia, I'll have you start out. Just tell us your background. How long have you been in the field with working with seniors? Tell us about the medical background, then we'll go from there.
Well, I'm working as a manager here in Lambertville Estate, but I worked. My profession is a registered nurse, and I'm a registered nurse since 1985. Work long time. Past 25 years, I would say, I worked with seniors. And past 10 years, I was working as a director of nursing in home care company, and I, met all different kind of situations and families and, seniors with different problems and issues. And, you know, I have a lot of experience with different kind of situations when they arise when somebody get older, and families have a lot of questions, and sometimes they don't even know where to look, where to start. So
Sure. So let's go into that part then. How do people, if people are getting this, and obviously their parents are getting to that point where they need help, how do they know when it's time for they need a higher level care than what they can provide for their mom or dad?
yes, it's not an easy task. A lot of people, we think about our parents, they're our parents and we are their kids. And parents, they always feel that they have to take care of kids, not the otherwise. So, and even when they get older, they don't want kids, they don't want to bother their kids. They don't want to create problems for their kids. And they may not even tell you a lot of things that you maybe should know. So it's a kind of a very sensitive issue, and to know how to start. And of course, it depends on the situation in the family and the relationship with the kids and their family members and their parents. But it's very important to look at it holistically. Not just, oh, my parents, they're not doing well, and I just have to go and budge in. You have to really learn how to approach this in the proper manner. This way they will be open to it. So you have to look into the holistic approach, and it's the overall health and home situation. So because their health may be okay, but then you see that there's some changes in their at home going on, or opposite. You can have things that their health is declining and they're trying to maintain the home, and there's other issues comes up. So sometimes it's just you notice, there's few things that you have to look for. First, maybe you just noticed changes in appetite or their weight. You seem to, notice that they're losing weight, that they're thinner, or you didn't visit, or maybe you don't live close by and you visit for the holidays or visit them and you see that there's changes. When you visit your parents every day, you may not see those things, but then when you have a little break and you come and see, you may see that. Another thing is changes in the sleep pattern. So, older adults may have issue with that. And that could indicate, some health issues too, that may be underlying conditions that you don't know or you're not aware about. Um, Changes in the mood, in their mood. They may have a little, you may notice that they become a little more hostile if you ask them something. And again, it could be just because maybe they're not eating properly, and maybe, they're not socializing, or maybe there's underlying condition like a development of the cognitive decline and dementia, which could be very subtle. You wouldn't, it's not just a regular forgetfulness. It could be, it seems like they're forgetful, but then you, you know, professionals, they know how to diagnose and how to ask them. And we even can see in the face, I can see in the look at the person's face, and you can see certain affect. Another is mobility is very important. And you see that your parents have issues ambulating or transferring themselves. If it's hard for them to get on and off the couch or a chair, or they need maybe different kind of chair to get off the chair. They may not even go take a shower because they afraid that they cannot get out of it, or they may fall there. Sometimes they can fall and never tell you that they fell. If they were able to get up themselves, a lot of times they don't even tell anybody unless there's help, unless there's something happens and EMS called, or you came in and you saw the bruises or something like that, then you would know. They don't want to bother anybody. There's a lot of times when I worked in home care, home health aides would call. They should report if somebody fell, but the mom or dad would say, "Don't tell my children." And I would tell them, because that was my responsibility, to tell them that something happens, and I would, I think that you should check with the doctor maybe, or something else. Um, another very important thing to look into, medications. It all depends how much they're on, what they're taking, dosages, because it's a very, very common issue with elderly people and their medication management, because by the time they reach in their 80s and 90s, or even 70s, they may be on the polypharmacy. They might have slew of all different kind of medications, which may change over time, or doctor will have, prescription dosages may change. And your parents may not, they may not put them properly. They may not take them properly. They may take more than they need, or not take at all. A lot of elderly people have tendency never throw anything out. They may keep something that is not already good, expired. I saw people's medications 10, 15 years expired.
Wow.
Expired. So that's something to look, and very important, again, it could be subtle, but like pay attention to that if they take any medication. Another thing, if they have sensory issues, like, first what starts to kind of decline in us humans, it's the vision and hearing. That's like a little first sensory decline when we get older. And a lot of times when people have that, they kind of, they don't want to participate in anything because they cannot hear or they cannot see. So they don't want to feel inadequate. Sometimes if they have a hearing problem, they may not follow up with the directions that the doctor or pharmacist or somebody tell them, because they didn't hear what they said. They would say yes, 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 but they really didn't hear it. And again, you have to look if there's increased confusion. A lot of times cognitive decline starts in elderly. They repeat the same story over and over and over again. And if you try to tell them that you told me the story yesterday, they may get agitated. That's a sign of maybe development of the cognitive decline and dementia, or Alzheimer's, which is a type of dementia. You could see if they visibly emotionally disturbed when you're questioning them. It's maybe a little bit more deeper than just the forgetfulness. Missing appointments, following up with the doctor visits, following up other, maybe something to fix in the house, or, activities of daily living, which is taking care of yourself, and instrumental activities, which is taking care of the house and, food and appointments, things like that. So that's basically, what to look for.
Okay. And once people notice those things happening, what is, or who is the first conversation that they should have? Is it with their parent? Is it with someone like yourself? Like, who do they go to? What's the next step? Yeah,
the first conversation has to be always with the parent, because you don't want to overstep their individualism, their, what they're people, they're individuals. So you cannot just take over. And a lot of children want to do that because they feel that they're helping, but sometimes it puts the very much pressure on the relationship if you do that. So you have to be very gentle how you approach. Some parents would be gladly taking that help, and some parents would be just, hey, no, I'm not doing that. So first you kind of talk to them, and you can nicely say that, mom or dad, I noticed that A, B, C, D, and see how they react to it. And they said, do you have any plan? Ask them if they give them the cards, like ask them if they have any plan. What do you think? What do you think you can do to improve or change the situation that I kind of noticed? So if they have plan, if they said that I'm going to go to the doctor, I'm going to go to physical therapy, or I'm going to, do A, B, C, D, or cook, or, make myself a little schedule, give them some time and then revisit that again and see if anything changes. So if they corrected that somehow, they're still capable. Maybe there's something, maybe they need a little bit more, help with organizing their life. So that's the first. It's always the first to talk to them, because, they do not like to be patronized, parents. Like we
Certainly.
don't like to be patronized by parents when we grow up. So then when adults, they do not like to be patronized.
Before you go on to the next part, let me ask you, so what advice would you give to people where they say, well, my mom or my dad said, no matter what, don't take me out of my house. Like that's what Chrissy, my grandma, that was her, stay in the house. But from my point of view, the best thing would be to get her out of somewhere. Like what about when that comes up? What do you recommend?
It's difficult because, if they still, cognitively can think, and that's what they believe, and that's their house, and that's where they want to be, you need to, if there's financially, you can provide to hire somebody at home, and that's feasible for their health, because it depends how much assistance they need. If they need so much assistance that they need nursing care, they may need to go into the place if there's no family members who can do that, because some people may need 24/7 care. And 24/7 care in the state of New Jersey may cost you privately $18,000 a month. If it's between $25 and $30 an hour, home health aid will cost you that much money. Like, not that, that's a difficult subject, but you really need to do slowly. Sometimes it happens that, some health event happen, and then they have no, they can't then come back home because they need really 24/7 nursing care. Or if they still okay and they can do some things by themselves, can maintain some independence, again, maybe home care start first to introduce them that there's assistance. A lot of people don't want it. They think that they can do themselves, and you start slow,
Okay.
and then you can increase. I would like to add it that, another thing, you could familiarize yourself what kind of medication they take. Make yourself like a spreadsheet. What kind of medication? And that help involve them in that too. And if you go to any doctors or any appointments or anything, you already had it. Make copies of it. There are meds, there are doctors, whatever doctors they use, get their names, information, and you can have that on hand, which is very helpful. It saves you a lot of time, especially when you go from the doctors to the hospitals, to rehabs, to any other facilities. You could also, people can start looking and familiarize yourself with the resources that are available. There's a lot of resources available that a lot of people don't know about. We could, there's a lot of Medicare covered expenses. If people, depends on the amount of money people have. Some people, Medicaid, they're eligible for Medicaid. It's all varies from state to state. Every state, we unfortunately live in the state of New Jersey, which is the very expensive state to live in. And, they have some kind of assistance, but again, you have to research through Medicare, Medicaid, Department of Human Services, Department of Aging. You can research and see. They even have companies, they have a private case managers that people hire sometimes, that they can kind of guide you what is available there, what kind of facilities available. They kind of assess you, they see what you want, what your financial needs and things like that. Um, Sometimes there's some states, and lately there's remote monitoring. You can, if people want to stay at home, sometimes they can monitor. You can talk the second person who you're going to talk to their doctor. Like they may persuade them to do certain things, that they maybe don't want to do for you if they trust their doctor. You have to kind of develop relationship with their primary care physician or whatever doctors they use. Um, and again, remote patient monitoring, they can monitor blood pressure, weight, pulse oximetry, temperature. They can monitor from home. They come and they hook machines there and it's all transmitted. You can check the blood pressure once a day or twice a day if they don't want, to go anywhere. There's a lot of times after people go to the hospital and rehab, there was a programs for 30 days. They just install that and people have to monitor their weight and their blood pressure and things like that, their vitals. If you feel like your parent cannot really, handle their living arrangements and situation anymore, it's very, very important to talk to their private primary care physician, to their doctor. So and
Okay.
see, because they may have a lot of resources. You can ask them too what kind of resources they provide here locally in the area, because mostly people will start looking at the local resources available. Person can research the senior serving services. There's lots of websites, phone numbers that they can go to and Google, and there's lots of things comes up and you can look for your state or go to the newjersey.gov and research the senior services there. I could tell a little bit about the what kind of services, if you would like. Medicare doesn't pay for certain things, Medicaid pay for certain. A lot of time for the personal care, people pay out of pocket, unfortunately. That's how it's been, unless you don't have any money. In the state of New Jersey, you do not qualify if you have more than $2,000 in your account somewhere, or so you have to be really poor
Really
to
cool.
qualify for any free healthcare.
Well, I think that's a good segue into the next thing is what different types of levels of facilities or homes or care is there?
Okay, yes. So there's few. First is the independent living. Independent living it talks to itself. So they're still independent. In other words, they may need some assistance. They may need light assistance with activities of daily living and instrumental activities of daily living. They may be a little bit forgetful, but they still can function, independently. So independent living is a first level. Then the second level will be assisted living. Assisted living has a little bit more um, nursing care, like medication administration. They would administer medication. They have nurses on staff 24/7, so they would assess and reassess if anything happened there. Another one is memory care, which is, a lot of assisted living, they have assisted living and memory care in one building. Then lately, there's a lot of other facility comes up, which is called the CCRCs, which is the continuing care retirement communities, where they have everything there. They have independent living, assisted living, a memory unit, they have skilled unit, which is rehab, and some portion of skilled turns into long-term care. So a lot of people looking into that kind of, because they feel that they're going from one place to the other in one facility. However, those facilities are not for everyone because they're very, very expensive. Majority of those facilities require big amounts of down payment from over 100,000 to 300,000 and more. So it depends on the facility, just the down payment. And then
Just to-
you rent, then they have rents that if you're an independent living, if you have a cottage or you have an apartment, it all depends on the size. If it's a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, if it's studios, they have a different ranges. You still have to rent. And if you're an independent living in the places like that, you usually cook your breakfast and lunch, and dinner. People go out. They have like a place there, like a restaurant where they can go and eat. But that's an extra. Everything is extra in the places like that. And if they have nursing staff in there, everything nurses do there, check your blood pressure, if they have to administer any meds or anything, come and do anything nursing with you, that's an extra charge too. It does not include in the monthly rent.
So a lot of people, and that was one of the other things I wanted to ask you, because I think people don't have a concept sometimes. What are the price ranges we're looking at for like a low level facility to higher level? And what does that include a lot of the times?
So, okay. So, as we discussed that, care, majority of people pay for their personal care out of pocket, unless you have very low income. A lot of people use their personal funds, their social security, their retirement funds, their investments, maybe their trusts, whatever people, their savings, personal savings. Sometimes people pay with the proceeds from the sale of their house. They sometimes have reverse mortgages, all those things that right now is available, which, they could find somebody who could help him with that, and see how much, they have and how much care how much money they have and how much care for how many years they can afford and where.
Right.
Unfortunately, New Jersey, as I said, is not, it's one of the most expensive states to live. And national average is about 43%, 4,300 a month. It's national average. So New Jersey is a 65, 6,600, just an average, but it goes up. So basically, room and board will cost, even in a long-term care facility, about $9,000-$10,000 a month.
Because people will see that, okay, it's the average is 65, 6,600, but that doesn't include
No,
all the stuff.
it doesn't
right?
include. It depends what kind of facility it is and what kind of services are provided. Like a lot of those facilities will not include, 3 meals a day, or somebody doing your laundry, or they have their own, in the CCRIs, they have independent living, where they have their own little apartment, their own laundry, their own little kitchen. So they have to do that, and if they cannot physically do that, then they will have to hire private aid to come in those facilities, because they do not provide that assistance. So I had clients who lived in those facilities and paid down payment of $320,000, then they paid $6,000 rent, and then they paid $18,000 because they needed 24/7 care. So not everyone can afford that, but that's how it is. And unfortunately, all personal care, if you need extra, is paid privately.
And there's not, from what you've seen, there's not many all-inclusive places out there.
No, and if they're all inclusive, you pay more for it. So the prices will go up. Then more provided. It depends on the facilities. Some facilities are old and decrepit and don't look attractive, but people don't want to go there. And some very modern, and everything is there, and they have a physical therapy there, and they have all the people who can come and do things, and it's attractive, and they have nice buildings and nice rooms and bathrooms, and people pay more for that.
Right. And you kind of already touched on this. What level of, when people begin to search medical care, should they be making sure the home or the facility has?
Well, independent living, like we spoke previously, a lot of people don't want to leave their home. They want to feel that they're independent. So that's very important, because when we lose our independency, it brings us depression and anxiety and everything. You start to depend on anybody. Things that you could do by yourself, now you have to ask somebody to do it for you. It's very difficult for majority of people, I would say. Some people will accept, I guess, gladly help, but some people really like to be independent. So independent will be the first one, where there's still, unless there's physical condition that they cannot be independent, they need hands-on assistance with certain things, then they need to go to the more like assisted living, where they have people 24/7 that will help them, or skilled unit, or long-term care facility, where they have people who can do all those, Hoyer lifts and two people transfers and all of those things. I didn't mention that there's two more, that the affordable housing. There's some people, if they have low income, they have like a special senior apartments where they, pay less. But again, they have to do everything there by themselves. It's just an apartment building or a little, cottages or something, but they have to be able to live by themselves. Unless the family may be helping them, maybe doing their shopping, taking them to the doctor's appointment. So everybody is different. So that's why, I think that every family situation is different. For some families, what's suitable for one family may not be suitable for another.
Sure.
So another thing is the respite care or short-term stay. Sometimes people need to go away, children or parent live with the child, they move the parents to live with them, but then maybe children need to go somewhere. They got a job somewhere, or for a few months, 3 months, or they need to go away for a month, or they have to live their life too, and they cannot leave their parent alone. And if they don't want somebody in their home, and they think that the parent need more assistance, there's some facilities like, senior boarding homes, or assisted livings, or long-term care. They will take some for respite care. It's a short stay.
Excellent. And last one I had for you, and then we can see if there's anything else you want to add. How important, again, when people begin this process of searching for their parents, is it that their parent is getting daily activity, mental stimulation, some kind of social component? In your opinion, how important is that stuff?
Well, socialization and mental stimulation is very important, because a lot of times they by themselves, and isolation and loneliness can bring depression, can bring, you know, cognitive decline. So we are social creatures. We need somebody to talk to. Sometimes they just need somebody to sit there and they can talk and tell them their life story, and that will stimulate their brain, bring their memory, or long-term memory that they actually had much better than the short-term memory when they're older. They will tell you the stories that you never heard. If even if you're a child, you may not heard the stories that they will tell you that they remember. Positive social interaction on the consistent basis is very important, and that keeps keeping seniors stimulated is very important, because they need to be engaged intellectually, socially, and that may prevent their health decline and their cognitive decline. There is a research done that people who are active socially, they may even take less medications. They can bring down that polypharmacy, because a lot of times they take all different kind of antidepressants, antipsychotics, whatever the medications they take that may not need it if they have constant intellectual and cognitive and social interaction. Socialization plays powerful role in health and wellness of the older person. I mean, it plays the role in anybody's person, anybody's very
Sure.
important role. But the elderly people are, need, they kind of left alone. I feel that, they don't want their children to be bothered because they don't want to bring more problems to their kids, and then they become isolated. Oh, my mom doesn't want anybody, or she does just want. But I I feel that they still need that. They just don't want to say it, but they need that interaction and somebody, human touch and human contact.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything
So,
else that I did not ask
um,
you, but is useful?
Um, there's some benefits of socialization, it reduces cognitive decline, potentially slows progression of dementia, helps mitigate the onset and severity of other limitation and disability, improves quality of life. That's which everybody, looking for it. What are we looking for? We're all looking for, have a best quality of life that we
Yeah.
can at the certain times of our lives. It may change, but you still can have a quality of life. Reduces reliance on pharmacological, interventions like medications, stress relief, and it's a positive. It's very positive for them.
Sure.
Um, and the other thing, the last thing that I wanted to mention, that activities that they do, they really need to be adaptable. People sometimes don't understand that, well, I just want my mom to do this A, B, C, D, but they may not like that activity, or may like not cognitively capable of doing that activity, and they do not want to look like they don't know what they're doing, when they're with other people.
Yeah.
There's a protective mechanism that they use, and some of it could be withdrawal. They just, sometimes they cannot hear. We go back again to their physical, cannot hear, cannot, see things, and they cannot participate. But people who are younger, they cannot relate because they don't feel that way. Um, so, activities has to be adaptable and be, seniors need to be involved in choosing and designing the activity they do not like, and they feel like they're doing something, and they need to be involved themselves. Like in our place, we really, encourage them to lead certain activities. Um, it could be knitting, could be crocheting, could be card game, or we doing activities that we provide, but then we let them maybe lead certain things, maybe reading some book, or who wants to watch what kind of movie, and maybe discuss the movie, after that. Simple activity like that, it's the stimulation of the brain.
Yeah.
And group and one-on-one activities are equally effective. It doesn't have to be, one or the other. Some people prefer a group, some people one-on-one.
But the importance of it is there no matter what. It needs to be.
Very important, because loneliness and isolation brings a lot of issues with health and quality of life and the cognitive status of the older adult.
Hmm. And I think that ties nicely all the way back to where we started, when the loneliness, and it's important to put them in an environment, these seniors, where they can thrive as best they can at their age, right?
Yes, and I feel that, if they have family, they have great grandkids, they should be involved and, seeing them and visiting them, because they need that. They need that interaction, with the family and other generations. Older people, they have their purpose. A lot of times people dismiss them because they're not really part of the society that produces something anymore. That's unfortunately how, a lot of societies look into it. But um, I feel that they given a lot, and they have a lot of wisdom, and we should all learn from them.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Lillian. This is going to be very useful. I know I learned a lot doing this, and I think people are going to find this very useful. So let me just bring it to a close with the recording.